Greetings, everybody. Freaky Friday, Friday the 13th. It's still time for the feedback loop here at New Pragmatic. I am so happy to have you along in this germ-free environment. At least we can't share germs. It's the love. It's the love for remote learning. I really love remote everything. This is. It is good to have you along. We've got submissions here, kind of going in a couple of different directions. Rebecca's working on some animations for a Figma prototype she's working on, and then Tejal is actually also she's updating a application that she's really just taken miles away from its original design. The original design was kind of dated, so she wanted to level it up. James, if you're watching this, pay close attention. You're about to embark on what Tejal has been working on. Now these are not, both in the case of Tejal and James, those are not new pragmatic projects. They're not something that came out of the curriculum. They are work they've done, and they want it to level them up. So, we do a lot of just straight up mentorship here. It's not necessarily curriculum focused. And that's both what Tejal and Rebecca are looking at today. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in, and we'll get this underway. Let's go ahead and start here with Tejal, because she's got a pretty focused prototype here, and I just want to kind of understand what we're looking at. So, as you can see, she's got a navigation here, fires an action sheet that comes up. I remember yesterday we worked through this a bit, and then it would appear that I could probably close it if I wanted to. I can go from stops, and stops takes me over to here, and then if I can migrate. Seems like there's a lot going on here between these two screens. So maybe there's some sort of hover and drag here. I am curious. I'm curious because this doesn't this stops here, so I'm kind of wondering how this comes into play. Maybe but we'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at it. So we've got schedule time and the date. Yeah. So Tejal, I'm gonna work around in here. This is where having some prompts saying, could you do X, could you do Y, would be beneficial. I believe in the grand scheme of things, mainly because otherwise it's just it becomes an exercise in what do you think, and I don't want this to devolve into that. So I'm gonna go ahead and hop into prototype mode, and let's just see what we've got. Takes a second to load the prototype, but here it comes. Okay, so that's interesting. I thought you had okay, you moved it. Okay. Previously there was a profile there. Okay, so if I go to stops, it slides in. That's nice. And again, I'm selecting this with the understanding that I'm just trying to see where my possible options are. Here I'm going to go into this particular stop. You got to look up for your spacing here. As you can see, you're on, and I guess that's the question. I don't necessarily know if this is if this is meant to be a X or an 8. It may be a situation where we're on the wrong prototype. I'll show you the difference if we switch down here to an 8. I bet this is meant to be an 8. Let's go ahead and go over. It'll load, and yeah, it looks like it fits on an 8 a little better. Although it doesn't. It's clearly meant to be for a 9 because I'm looking at or not a 9, but the 10. I'm looking at the length of the screen, and now the length of the screen doesn't fit. So we need to look at fixing this top piece. Also, it's funny because the nav down here at the bottom doesn't it doesn't account for the fact that it's got rounded edges on it, and I'll show you what I mean. Let's come back over. Let's go back to the 10. The 10 has a different bottom to it. Oh, golly gee, that's no good. I don't like that at all. I like this better. Thanks, Tejal. Sometimes I have technical difficulties. At least today, YouTube didn't like crap out in the middle of it, so that's positive. So anyway, and now I've got to okay. Anyway, we're back here on the prototype, and we're jumping into Tejal's prototype, and the big thing that I want to focus on here initially is how these are connected, and I get a good sense of what she's trying to do, as these are this view appears to have the most linkages to it. There's a lot of you can see how it's going back and it's coming in. So that's interesting. I think overall this feels right. The one thing I was pointing out, Tejal, is we need a different topper and bottom nav if like you're trapped in the middle of two worlds. And here's what I mean. This is designed for the X, but the X doesn't but it has the top and bottom components that actually belong to the 8. And I'll show you what I mean here. So if we go with the 8, it's pretty clear right away that this works so much better on the 8. But the only way I knew it wasn't intended for the 8 was because of the length of this, like it goes off the bottom. So this bottom nav is really supposed to be like at the bottom. And of course, when we switch it back over to the 10, it fits fine. It's just these areas are crowded. Now, there is, if we hop over here into the community, I'm going to do that really quickly. There has been, I've been using this design kit here. I have a copy of it already, so I'm not going to duplicate it for my purposes, but I am going to hop in, and I'm going to drop in some assets from it, because I think it'll be beneficial for you moving forward. I'm going to drop in a bottom nav and a top nav, so that we can utilize that in the screens, and that'll fix the crampiness of this. So let's go ahead and jump in, and that's an iPad. That's an iPad. iPad. All right, here we go. Let's get in there. These are actions. Again, I'm not super familiar with this particular library, as I just got it the other day. A lot of these assets are constantly being updated as they're added to Figma. Let's see here. That's tool. This would be a tab. Yeah. So this is compact, light. Oh, you had 4, I believe. So if we pull that over, you know, the bottom bar looks suspiciously familiar. And that didn't work out too well. So I don't think there's anything wrong with what you've done here. I don't necessarily think that aids the issue. We gotta keep looking. Yeah, this status bar here is definitely what we're more looking for. So we're gonna come back over. So you can see how the status bar has changed for the 9. And if we, actually what I'll do, and I keep saying the 9, it's the 10, Chris. It's the 10. I'm going to drag it over to this first one. And I'm just going to pull it into play. And then we'll take a look at this. And it's not showing up because I have improperly placed it on that particular screen or frame. So here we go. And now right away the spacing works. Okay, so I'll leave that one in there. I do want to come back to this bottom nav because I know that there's a iOS 11 bottom nav that is properly spaced. I just haven't spotted it yet in this particular library. You could also just add that space to the bottom because it in my other views of this, I've seen this adjusted before. It's just not adjusted here. So if you drug this whole thing up and then just grab the background, I'm in prototype mode. Well, no wonder that's not working. Is it locked? No, it's not locked. Could be that it's fussing because it's grouped. Yeah, and these icons are sure why I'm having such trouble with this particular. Why won't it let me put the constraints on? I was able to put the constraints on there. I keep clicking right past it. Ugh. And I'm not sure why the purple is showing up like behind it like that. Ah. Okay, I gotta look at how this is constructed because this is really driving me nuts. Okay, I can select it. I just can't unlock it. Doesn't make any sense. Alright, I know how we'll do this. We'll just turn this purple one gray or whatever it was, and now we're done. Okay. So now when we save this, let me jump over and take a look at this in the grand scheme of things. This spacing here is working much better. Obviously, you want the spacing here at the top to be like that. Want their spacing at the... Ugh. So also the animations are just a little slow. I would suggest coming in and, you know, if we go with this animation on the first page, for instance, I guess it's this one. Yeah. So it's 800 milliseconds. I would say 300 milliseconds. Okay, save it. Oh. Okay. That feels a lot more like the spring action I'm looking for. But I would fix the clocks. I'd fix the navs. Okay, so this is how I get there. This is taking me over to the schedule for that particular stop. This is where I see the stops. I've gotten back to the other screen when I click on destination. I'm not sure why I get back to the other screen when I click on destination. So that's interesting. But it is kind of weaving together, so I get it to some extent. But fix the top and the bottom. Navs. You had another question that I want to make sure that I address. Where is it at? I have prototyping concentrated on search and stops. It's fine. Wonder if it's okay to skip the other two for now. Yes. I want to concentrate all the features. If I want to make a comprehensive of all the features, I will have to design a large number of screens. Don't do that. I'd rather put this up and finish the portfolio of materials. Yes. Okay, so the big takeaway here, Tejal, to go that direction is we need some spacing adjustments on the top and bottom. Okay, because this has been built for an X depth, but it doesn't reflect an X structural design, and that's specifically to the top and bottom. Everything else is fine. I do think that you'll probably need a deeper keyboard though. Now that I think about it, and I want to see if that keyboard is available. So the last thing I want you to do is have me go figure out the keyboard. Yep, it is. So here is the keyboard, and you'll notice just how much more space there is to the bottom. I'll paste it off to the side so you can take a look at it. Where'd it go? This is so frustrating. I lost all my previews. I don't know why. It's like Figma is just crapped out on me. Not ideal. Okay, well, there's that. Just Apple Zine because I don't know where it went. It's as if. Oh. Oh. Well, that's weird. Sorry about that. Freaked me out for a second. I was like, what happened? Okay. So now you've got a much deeper keyboard. It allows for that curve at the bottom. Fix these little things, and I think you'll be good to go moving forward. All right, so let's take a look at Cellwise. Rebecca's working on a lot of stuff here, and she's got some animations that she needs a hand with. So there's a couple of different ways you can do animations. Oh, excuse me. You can actually make animations as a GIF and just call them in as a GIF. Sorry, thirsty. And so that's an option. But let's see what we have here. Text appears during scroll. Okay. Hover animation, text appears left to right during scroll. Text appears during scroll. So this is one of those, like, I'm kind of curious how you should do this. It seems like this is like a effects. Oh, sorry. I can't click on anything today. Damn it. God, these files are killing me. So if we prototype, we say interaction. I guess mouse enter maybe would be maybe the way to go. Yeah, it's interesting. It's got to like connect to something. And my curiosity is this a situation where we get Qt with it and we say, okay, this is going to have a 0% layer on it, but on animation it dissolves, and because you don't really need a fancy animation here, but the idea is that you're going from here to here, and the question is, do we have that set to mouse? Okay, so set the mouse enter. Let's try that out. Is that what you want to do? I don't know. This is animations. This is like we just kind of hack around at this stuff until we figure out exactly what it is we want it to do. Okay, so that was interesting. That was not what I wanted to do. So let's see here. This animation, preserve scroll position. That was what we were looking for that yesterday, and I wasn't sure why it wasn't showing up. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue this. And it might even be something that comes off of this, so that loads. Yeah. Okay. So let's go back over here. Refresh. Now, the interesting thing is you've got other animations that have changed, and I'm not sure. And this is really large too, by the way. Like it's like the same size as that. So, Like, take it down in size. But each of these animations needs to be, like, on its own. So the way you've got this organized right now is like, this is a page, and this is a page, and this is a page, and this is a page. These animations, as best as I can tell, like, this animation would be page 2, page 3. The other animations would be page 3, 4, 5, 6. You've got to duplicate these things out, okay? And I wouldn't necessarily worry about the backward animation, like, oh, as you scroll away, it goes away. No, don't do that. Don't worry about that. So let's look at some of these others. Text appears left to right during scroll. So that's like a mouse enter thing. So let's kind of take a stab at that. Okay. God. Oh, it just. I think Figma is just dragging today. Come on. All right. So here it is. I'm not going to worry about this right now. I don't want to worry about them right now. I said I didn't want to worry about you right now. I said I did not want to worry about you right now. Oh, Lord. And let's go ahead and kick this. File management. Okay. So, chime. These things are going to come in on scroll. I got to break them apart so that we can have them each individually load. Let's go ahead and get them together. So this is less herding cats when we get to that point. So go ahead and duplicate this. So what's this one called? This is group 17. So I'm going to call this one ingest. This one will be transforms. And I'm just going to do ingest and transforms for right now because I want to show kind of how I see this working. Ingest and transforms could be setting at 0% opacity. Okay, and then this would be one of those times when you would say, okay, so okay, sorry, prototype, mouse enter, and this is just a dissolve for right now. Okay, let's go ahead and, well, first of all, let's do this one. Let's see. So this one, same basic thing, is a dissolve. All right. So prototype settings on this are fine. And why is that not showing up? I think it's because, oh no, sorry, I've got to come back in here and adjust. I think it's because we've got so many frames and we're not looking at the right part of the prototype yet. This is again file organization, Um, taking a month of Sundays. All right, yay, got there. All right, so we were down here doing some testing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set our prototype up to go all the way down here, just so that we can test this concept out. Let's go ahead and we'll leap to it from over here, and then here we'll do it again. Okay, so let's just see what happens. First of all, we got to make this fit. Not like that, Chris. All right, so here we are. We're gonna scroll through, and I think you had some animations here that aren't necessarily firing, but we had a all right. Well, where was it? There was supposed to be a trigger that was coming off the front. Okay, so it's coming off the illustration. Or was. Okay, so it came in. It came in. The question is, you need it to come in staggered. I think you were saying you needed to come in from a direction. So that's where moving it would be an ideal situation. Phew. Okay, so here, if we just move this over enough, and we'll do the same thing here, it'll give us a staggered opinion. It'll give us a staggered look at how the words are coming in. And if we do this, where am I? Okay, so now we're on the page. It's not staggering in. Oh. I know why. We've seen this. We've seen this, and we saw it yesterday. I don't think we went back through and renamed the files. Yeah, so this file over here is group 18. This is group 17. But over here, this was called ingests, and this was called transforms. And transforms isn't even on the right page. Okay, now transforms is on the right page. Alright, so now I need to come back through in here and call this ingest. And here I need to call this transforms. And when they're the same name, we should see that animation take effect. So let's go ahead and go back. Got this GIF on the home page that you set up for us. And now as we go through, transform ingests. Ingest lowercase, uppercase. Crap. Ingest lowercase, transforms lowercase. Looks like I might have named the wrong one in just. What is this? That is the right one. What is that? Oh, that's not the right one. That's connects. All right. So let's try this again. See what we got. Still not moving in. And that bothers me greatly, really. Because really this should be just moving in all the way from the side. I want to save it and I want to try it one more time. I'm not ready to give up on it. Okay. Okay, so in just... Oh, I drug it off the page. That's... It's like... so frustrating. Alright, I'm going to need to look at this because there's just too many little parts here that are fighting with me right now. Let's see, what else do you have? Text. It's a lot of text appears on scroll. Bubbles moving. This is where something like Fig Motion might play a role. And essentially what I would suggest here is like create a new file for one. Like just grab the stuff, grab it, go, okay, I've got a new file. That way everything's just clean. You're not fighting trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Paste it in there. And then let's get a couple of frames on it. So let's go ahead and draw a frame. Let's call this one desktop. Okay, so that's your desktop. Here's this thing. Drag this in. Okay, so we're making it a little larger. And you've got all your stuff here, okay? So now we go into Figma plugins. And I think that would be in community. Plugins. And this would be Fig Motion. In Fig Motion, we'll go ahead and install it. It's installed now. Essentially, the first thing you have to do with Fig Motion is select the frame that you're wanting to work on. And then I'm going to option click to go down to plugins, and I'm going to go to Fig Motion. And I will say Open Figmotion. And Figmotion is attempting to run. That's not... Oh, okay. So it did run. All right. So Figmotion is essentially looking at all the elements that you have. Figmotion is not currently in focus. So you currently have these elements, and sometimes it's a little easier to make this smaller. But if you got this, essentially you can basically adjust so this information you've got, you can change the X, Y, the height, the width, and put these things into motion with a render. And you can see how I'm able to go through, and I'm selecting the different assets from inside of Figmotion, and then you might say, okay, and now I want this to turn for whatever reason, although that doesn't work very well because you don't have need to have these items grouped. But then you turn it, and the idea is that you would have, you said hover, but the idea is that you would move these things around and then export it as either CSS or JSON, or render it. And basically you would render it as probably a GIF, and it would just kind of be there on the screens to give an idea of what's happening. And that's really what you're trying to do. You're trying to give people an idea of what's happening. These are not finalized animations by in any way, shape, or form. But Figmotion is where I would probably go with a lot of this, mainly because you have a lot of like this is like it seems like every single thing that we're talking about now has an animation in it, and it's like, yikes, that's a lot of animations. I would suggest like go with this one and this one, and like push everything else back. The text, there's just too many things, I think. I could see doing the big ones, but I think the little ones I would kind of eschew. So, we've talked, I've kind of talked about, one of the things I was doing here is I was hiding the opacity so that on scroll, and I have mouse enter, but it could very easily be one of the others. On click, on drag, the idea is that that's going to render itself as it moves from one screen to the next. But Figmotion is what I would look into here for these elements, so that you can animate many of them at a time and just throw them in as a GIF. Yeah, so that's how I would handle that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this edition of the feedback loop. Sorry I was having so much trouble with Figma. It's like it was just like crapping out. I couldn't grab anything. Maybe Figma has the coronavirus. I hope not. And I hope you don't get it either. They've it's trying times out there in the world, and the good news is, when you are battening down the hatch and you're not going outside, I'll be right here to work with you. So without further ado, I'm Chris Courtney for New Pragmatic, and I will chat with all of you on Monday. Take care.